All right, guys, so I took a little lunch break, but as you can see, I took off the fuel injectors and the railing. But it's real simple. You just had to disconnect the 4 connectors that were on the injectors sitting right here, and you just pull out the rail and the injectors will come right out. It was held together by 2 Phillips screws that were here, but do be careful. I did spill a bunch of fuel down there that I already cleaned up. Still had some residual fuel in it, but otherwise I've been trying to mess with this throttle body. Trying to get it off the actual throttle body. That last piece I took off was the intake funnel, but there's a clamp on, there's a clamp down here that I can't get to, that's actually sitting behind this piece, so I got to get it from underneath. So we're just going to take off the radiator now, that way I can get to the throttle bodies. So let's do that. So first thing, what little fluid is in there, we're gonna go ahead and drain that. So I just realized that the radiator was just dangling on here. It wasn't even bolted on the bottom. So that's nice. This bike was definitely a bit neglected by the previous owner. I just realized that my other camera wasn't recording when I was taking off the radiator. So if you guys didn't catch it, it's just, it should actually be 3 bolts, but it's gonna be this bolt here. There would have been one underneath by the exhaust, and this bolt here that's holding up the radiator once you take off all your hoses. But otherwise, the throttle body was really kicking my butt. I'll actually show you guys how this comes off. There's 4 clamps here. That's kind of hard to see with everything installed. But you take those off, you'll disconnect all of your throttle sensor. There's one here, and there's one right behind there that I take off. And whatever other connector you see that's in the way, like this one here, once you take those off, and you really have to pull on the throttle body and it'll pretty much separate. Right now it's pretty much loose for me, but that took me about 3 hours to try to do. Yeah, let's get this thing off. All right, so don't forget to remove the throttle cables before you take out your throttle body. The easiest way I found, since I'm changing the throttle grips anyways, is to remove the cable from the grip side, and you'll want to slide this rubber piece off the cover first before taking off those covers with the 2 hex heads that were on here. So with the cables off, I'm going to go ahead and just remove the bracket that's holding the throttle cables in. Is that all one piece? Oh, alright, so only the top was a bracket. Seems like the bottom is also held together by the whole thing. There you go. So yeah, the bottom is actually all one piece here. So there it is. Throttle body is out. with the fuel rail. Just be aware guys, if you do want to take off just the throttle body, you don't have to take off the rail. Since I wanted to check my fuel injectors just to make sure that they look good, I decided to take off my rails as well. Alright, so I wanted to show you guys the clamps that were on here. So there's one, and you'll have to get it from the outside of the frame going through to get to that clamp. Here's the second one. And this third one was really kicking my butt because with that there, it's almost impossible with everything in there to get to that clamp. And then the last one is right there. So you take off all four of those, it'll loosen up the whole throttle body, and you just really got to yank to pull it off of these tubes that they were clamped on. They've been there for a while, it's going to be stuck. That's going to be it for this episode. On the next one, I'll pull the ignition coils, spark plugs, and possibly check the valve clearance.